Hey, this is George,
Hey, this is Frazier.
and this is Real Talk with George and Frazier.
How's it going,
How's it,
everybody?
how's it going? How's everybody
How's
doing?
it- Good, good out here. Good.
Good, good, good. I'm excited for this show. We have a young man that started with me when I started my digital magazine and publishing company called Scrap Fight Magazine. Very hungry and worked on articles, got interviews for the magazine, did a great job. Um, kind of lost a little bit touch when he graduated college, but he's back now with his own platform called the Sports Carrier. So I'm so excited, man, to introduce Fred. What's going
Hey,
on, man?
Man, how's it
how's
going, guys?
it going, Fred? How's it going?
It's going good.
Doing all right,
Look
man.
to you.
Great to reconnect with you, to George. Great to meet you, Frazier.
Hey,
Part of my green background. I'm very new to StreamYard. I usually use XSplit, so didn't have a chance to chroma key. I had a series of mishaps before I got here live, but I'm so happy to be here and catch up with you guys, and just talk sports.
all right. I love sports.
Fred, man, I have to say it, man. You still look like a little kid to me, man. I still remember that little. Hey, look at you. Oh man, welcome to the show.
Thank
Welcome
you,
to
thank
the
you. Now
show.
I do have of course, a quarantine haircut. I've been avoiding barbershops lately because with all the COVID mania and everything. But I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. I'll eventually hit
Yeah,
up my
man.
guy again.
You look better than my quarantine haircut.
No, you're
Oh
good.
yeah. So, quick question, Fred. Tell the fans a little bit about your platform, the Sports Carrier, and what you do.
Sure. So the Sports Courier, aka TSC News, is a sports platform. We have a YouTube channel, which is our main hub, called youtube.com/the Sports Courier. You can also find our work on my website, fredrichani.com. Originally, I mean, George, you've been back in the day. So originally we started a website called the Sports Courier, where I would write articles, primarily cover combat sports and football here and there. Later branched out to more of a video platform. YouTube kind of really blew up for us in 2012, covering various live shows, breaking news, interviews, things like that. And today, while we still maintain a big YouTube presence, primarily covering the NFL and combat sports, we've now branched out and also have a weekly TV show in the New York area. So if you're in New York, if you're in New Jersey, or if you watch online on a Manhattan Neighborhood Network on cable, we have a half hour every week, Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. on Fios, Spectrum, and RCN. And we cover pretty much everything sports, occasionally some gaming as well, esports, things like that. A lot of New York-based events. Obviously, with COVID, no physical events going on, but we've covered events like E3, various UFCs. The NFL Scouting Combine was the big one. Actually, that was the last event that we covered, prior to the shutdown and everything else. So, yeah, a little bit of everything, but I primarily focus on features, event coverage, and interviews like the ones you guys conduct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, really quick, Fred, let me circle back with that. How have you guys adjusted your business model because of COVID?
Really good question. I mean, the thing is, a lot of what I do has always been kind of remote anyway. I mean,
Right.
I worked with you, remotely as well. Right, for Scrap Fight Mag. And by the way, shout out to you for that opportunity back in the day. Tremendous opportunity, and
Oh, my
really means a
pleasure.
lot. And it's great to,
My
chat
pleasure.
with you and, give you your flowers here. But as far as how I've adjusted, I mean, it's been relatively the same. I think the big thing is more just adjusting the hours and everything, right? Like you feel like you have time for everything, but you really don't. Like I also work in marketing as well for an ad agency, and I've kind of, when I used to work in New York City, like you balance, like, okay, like I'm in the office from like 9 to 6, and then from this time to that time, I'm either going to an event or I'm scheduling an interview or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And when you're home, like it's great. I'm thankful I'm home. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to be home. I understand that, but at the same time, you do feel like you could do everything. So I'll give you an example. Like a few weeks ago, right, I was doing post-game coverage for all these NFL teams. Then on top of that, I was like, oh, Top Rank Boxing wants me to virtually cover an event. Why not? Then it's like, hey, Bellator's like, hey, we got like 2 fights in 2 days. You want to cover it? Oh, hell yeah. That's plenty of content. And and on paper, you're like, oh, hell yeah, I could do this. I got plenty of time. And then you realize, especially as a, now an older adult compared to when I was in my early 20s, late teens, when I first started doing this, like time is of the essence. And so it's not just, covering the event, it's recording everything, streaming everything live, editing it, color correction, Photoshop, doing the thumbnails, posting it on YouTube, then ripping the audio and uploading it on the podcast feed, then uploading on SoundCloud, then doing the SEO, then updating the website. Then we have for the TV show, we have to submit everything to the network in a completely different format. So then you got to re-encode it, do all that. And then all on top of that, of course you got a family, I have 2 cats that are very needy as well. There's work to be done around the house. Of course, I got my regular job and I'm always on call now because I'm remote and everything else. And clients can be a little demanding, which is fine, but it's part of the job title, but everything adds up. So I got to a point where I kind of got a little burned out. I got a little screen tired, as they say. And I was like, screw this. I need to just chill, play some PS4 and not look at my cell phone for 24 hours. So my as far as, again, day to day, nothing too crazy other than not having to commute and not going to events, which I really miss. And I know you guys miss too.
Oh yeah.
But for me, I think it's more of just like the time management. Like you think you have more time and you sort of do, but at the same time, like it becomes more of a challenge because you're the one that's got to discipline yourself as opposed to having like a regimented schedule.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So let me ask you a question though. So, what is the best interview you ever had? Like, what is the most fun interview you ever did?
Ooh, that's a good question. Most fun interviews. I'd probably say, man, there's I've had so many over the years. I think for me, catching up with Vincent Pastore, who played Big P. We're gonna censor ourselves here in The Sopranos. That was pretty cool. Because I was a fan of Sopranos, so that was cool to talk to him. Talking to Andrew Yang was fun. I only got a couple minutes with him at Comic-Con a couple years ago, but that was really cool. Very early in my career, I got to interview Mick Foley, and I remember he was at a charity event, and I put on my mind, I'm going to interview Mick Foley, and I know everybody says manifest, and it's people think it's BS, but I was like, I'm going to interview Mick Foley today, and I did, and that was cool. Tito Ortiz has gone off his rocker over the years. I think it's a CTE or something, but it was kind of a nice bucket list thing to interview UFC legend when I was in Vegas for my first time. I covered Canelo and Triple G, and he happened to be there promoting the Chuck Liddell fight of all things. That third one, that was a disaster. So that was interesting. The recent interview I just uploaded that I did a few months ago with Jim McMahon, I really liked too. It was just cool. It was just a very easy, free flowing conversation. Chicago Bears, a legendary quarterback, just. I don't know. It's hard. It's like picking your favorite kids. Like I'm very proud of a lot of the interviews I've done. I think for me, I enjoy the ones I feel the most like conversations. I think 9 times out of 10, I'd like to think I have pretty good, easy flowing interviews. But you guys know, occasionally you get some guests where it's like pulling teeth. I mean, I'm not going to name the MMA fighter, but there's a fighter in Bellator MMA I interviewed like last year, and I'm trying to just get something out of him. This is a media availability. And I got 10 minutes with him. I'm trying to I'm like, so what are your hobbies? I like to cook. What's your favorite dish? Oh, I just like food. And it just, that was so frustrating, but I'm very lucky for the most part. Over the years, I've had some pretty good interviews for the most part.
Okay.
Sorry, I buzzed out for a little bit. Fred, so moving on with interviews and things of that nature, how do you find the time to stack everything? Do you have an interview coordinator, or do you reach out through social media? The reason why I ask is because, as you know, podcasting has grown, and it's probably going to be the number one form of entertainment and communication by 2025. Now, everybody's predicting that it will outperform radio, but radio is really not going anywhere, So what is your routine? Maybe you can help us guys out, who are starting this venture again, so to speak.
Yeah, I think for me, everybody's different. I think for me, I'm kind of a one-man band these days. When I originally started TSC, I had a guy who was our full-stack developer, Eugene, great guy, close friend. But, he kind of had other things going on. He wanted to go in a different direction. So for me, I do a lot. I've always kind of done a lot of the guest booking, but now I kind of take on everything. It's all about balance. So like it's about time blocking. So time block maybe, I don't know, hour a day, just to go through different guest lists, email people. As far as like who you want to reach out to, I feel like it's easier now than it was when we first started, because everybody's got a Twitter bio, everybody's got Instagram. A lot of times you can kind of find their contact info right there, like for inquiries, email, george@whatever.com. So it's just a matter of thinking of who you'd like to interview. And when you get to a certain point in media, you end up on a lot of mailing lists and press releases. And a lot of times they'll email you and say, hey, would you be interested in interviewing, like, I'll give you an example, like Frank Thomas, Big Hurt. Like, I cover a little bit of baseball, but I'm not really extensive with it or anything. Like, I'm familiar with it and, and whatnot. I was a bigger fan growing up, and that, ironically enough, it's during the Frank Thomas era. And, I had a publicist reach out to me and said, hey, would you like to interview Frank Thomas for his clothing line? And, not that I wouldn't have wanted to interview Frank Thomas before, but the fact that he was front and center, it's like, Hell yeah. And it's sometimes just as simple as, responding to a press release with some of your work samples and just saying, what you want to do. And then other times it's, just cold emailing a lot of people. And there's going to be times, depending on who you are, where people are not going to answer. Right. And then and it's going to be really annoying. Or they're going to say, hey, I'd love to do the interview. Like, I'll say it because it never happened. I had an interview opportunity with Darrelle Revis, and that was like a big bucket list. He's from the Jets and, New York team and all this stuff, and Hall of Famer. I love interviewing like legends and stuff like that. Oh yeah, he's interested. Followed up again. Hell, I just followed up like 2 weeks ago after like 4 months of back and forth and never heard back from his rep. So it is what it is. But you're going to get times like that. You're going to get times where you don't hear anything. And then there's times where just it blows up and all of a sudden you have like 10 people in your inbox that respond a month later or 2 weeks later, however long it is, and say, yeah, I'd love to do an interview. When do you want to do it? Like Jim McMahon, it was very abrupt. Like I even forgot I emailed him. I just made a list. So I think in general, like it's kind of like an Amazon wish list. You want to have like a wish list of guests, right? So if you're want to interview like UFC guys, usually what I try to do is stick to a theme. So I don't know. One day I'll be watching a documentary on like the Miami Dolphins, like 72, and I'll be like, okay, it'd be cool to interview some Dolphins legends. So I'll go on Wikipedia and then I'll make a list of like all these legends I'd like to interview. And again, some of them will answer back, some of them won't. I recently interviewed a Richmond Webb, who was an offensive lineman for them. So he got back to me eventually. But again, it's a crapshoot sometimes. It takes time. But I would just say put some time aside, half hour, hour a day. Sometimes it'll take even longer. Sometimes you'll just get into it and you'll get a flow. I feel like as a creator, it's all about getting into a flow, whether it's editing or broadcasting or whatever. The more you do it, when you're locked in the zone, it's easier to get it done. And sometimes you'll just want to get your guest booking done for the week and you'll just say, screw it, I'll take a couple hours to do that. Also, you guys watch fights too, like I do. So sometimes like if you're watching sports, just pull up your laptop and I don't want to say multitask, but sometimes it's easier to have a podcast or a TV show in the background. Just, fire up some emails there. It's a passive action, just develop a template, say, my name is George, whatever. And with this podcast, we'd love to interview you about this, this, and this. In the past, we've interviewed this guest, that guest, have some bullet points, have a link to a work sample, tell them where the interview would be featured, be very professional, have a signature, and just go from there. And you'd be really surprised who gets back to you. I think that's the one thing I learned even early in my career. And I'll tell you, like, I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me back in the day because I didn't know my head from my ass back then. Eventually I kind of learned, but I look back now, like 10 years ago, I'm like, man, there's so many things I didn't know. And like, I thought like my crap didn't stink. And not out of like arrogance. It's just, lack of experience. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, oh, this interview with Keith Jardine's the best Keith Jardine interview ever. And it's like, no, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. So for me, I just try. So, just about reaching out. And again, like I'll just give you an example. Like this year, I wanted to cover more NFL teams and I wanted to cover more events. And, I emailed them and I didn't have any expectations one way or the other. I was like, screw it. I'll just send emails. And now I covered several NFL teams. I could barely keep up. And, it's just a matter of sending for anybody, any broadcaster, you guys know the deal, but for anybody that doesn't know the deal, sometimes it's just a matter of emailing somebody and you'd be surprised. When I started my website years ago, and it's the sportscore.com is no longer active, but when I started years ago, the website looked like crap. And I still had like 3 or 4 major celebrities like get back to me just because I took the time to email them or even cold called I cold called like one MMA gym, one wrestling school. Like sometimes it's just as simple as that. So I feel like it's easier now because there are podcasts out there and people are a little more familiar with YouTube and podcasting and stuff like that. But it's really just reaching out. But in terms of guest booking, just time block, make a wish list, and then just kind of go down that list. Go down that list, check it off, maybe follow up, and just make sure you're professional and have a template. You don't want to have spelling errors or anything else or be like, yo, man, do my podcast. Like, no, it's just very professional. It's better to be overly formal than it is to be overly casual, in my opinion, because you never know. It could be an agent seeing this. And also, depending on who it is, right? An agent, you could reach an agent or a manager. They may happen to rep a number of other athletes or celebrities. And all of a sudden, you've got a plug that can get you multiple, draft picks or whoever else, which has happened to me. So, always be professional.
Good. Okay. All right. So let's get to it, Fred. I know you've been watching sports, basketball.
Yeah.
Do you think that Miami can bring it back? I know Frazier's in Miami, so he has an opinion. He's going to chime in, but I want to see, do you think that they can come back or do you think it's done?
I think it's done, but I think they could at least extend it to 6 games. This Heat team really reminds me a lot of the 2004 Pistons. You know, the difference is Jimmy Butler, I think, even though he doesn't get enough national respect, he's already been an all-star, whereas I don't think Chauncey Billups got to that. I don't think Billups and Ben Wallace became all-stars until after that first championship when they really started getting respect. So it's a little bit different. Like that team didn't have like, as far as what you constitute as quote unquote stars, like any stars, like they eventually got big and, you know, Ben Wallace ended up in the NBA 2K cover, stuff like that. But, you know, at the time they were kind of like, Lakers are going to destroy them. And obviously it didn't happen. They got the upset. So, but the Heat team is very similar in a sense that, you know, yeah, Jimmy Butler's kind of the alpha, but they alternate at times. You know what I mean? Like there's multiple stars on that team that are picking up the slack and everything else. But I don't know, man. LeBron is just too good right now. Anthony Davis is looking great as well. I think they could extend it to 6 games, but I just think if they were at full strength, I'd say, you know what, they have a chance. They could at least extend it to 7. But I think given the way they are, given Dragic's injury and everything else, and the way, you know, Bam was banged up and Butler's been banged up, unfortunate timing. But I got to go into 6 games. But you know, unfortunately for Frazier, I got it. I got Lakers in 6.
All right,
I'll give him one more game.
All right, Frazier, go ahead, chime in. How do you feel about that?
I kind of agree and disagree.
Okay.
I won't compare them with the Pistons. I hate the Pistons, so I can't compare them. Okay. But I do understand what you're saying, though. They don't have much stars. That's true. That's why I like them. They're the underdogs. They coming in with no expectation. They're not supposed to be there, but they are there, you know? And I'm thinking, that's dangerous. Even though they're still down. Remember, the Heat, first champion, they were down. They almost 3-1, almost out of it. They came back and won 3 straight. LeBron know this. If you ever seen him smirk and got upset when they won that last game, because he know what could happen. If a team get emotion, gets drive, and they get a hype, they can be very dangerous. Right. They play with no expectation. They have fun. And they're right. I have to agree with you. They are banged up. But remember, David also banged up a little bit too. He's banged up a little bit. He's not enough of a significant way to change the way he plays game. But other than that, I believe if they slip up,
he said, I believe.
If they slip up, the Heat going to take it to game 7.
Okay.
They going to take it to game 7.
Okay.
All right.
You know, I just think that LeBron is – I just don't think he's going to let them get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, he's been there. He was the guy that helped the Warriors blow the 3-1 lead. You know what I mean? And he experienced both sides of the coin. He experienced 2011, which he talked about, and how he just underperformed and has been miserable ever since. And then he experienced 2016, which was maybe the greatest comeback in all of sports. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, LeBron's the X factor, man. You never know. Stranger things have happened. I mean, the fact that a 5th seed is even in the NBA Finals to begin with is crazy.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I mean, especially this year, the Kobe year. I know they don't want to talk about it until the job's done, but I would love to see it at least go 7 and be anybody's series. That'd be incredible. I think it'd be great for the league because I know they've been struggling with the ratings. A lot of people say it's the political stuff. I don't think it is at all. I think it's idiotic. I think it's just a matter of there's football on, there's college football on, there's baseball playoffs in full swing. Like there's, you know what I mean? When the NBA finals are in June, it's only NBA. It's just in baseball, but basketball's king in June, right? Not so much now. Like there's so many other things going on. Plus, you got the news cycle with the election, with the pandemic. Like it all adds up. And at the end of the day, I think the NBA is still doing well as far as at least in the key demos, like 18 to 34, 49, whatever. And like they're still getting good ad rates. So yeah, I don't know. I think Adam Silver would love to see it go to 7 games.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see it go to 7 games. It'd be interesting.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's tough, man.
But see, the bad thing about it, though, the Heat is keeping quiet. They're not hyping LeBron up.
Yeah.
Remember, every series, somebody says something bad about LeBron. Say LeBron ain't doing what he's supposed to do. LeBron is slipping. And guess what happens? LeBron gets mad, and that's a wrap. Game over. You ain't showing nothing. He's blocking everything coming your way.
Playoff LeBron, yeah, he's a thing.
Come up, it's a wrap. Yeah. I'm sorry. You can't be playoff LeBron. Nobody be playoff LeBron.
True. All right, Fred, I know your time is limited. Got on about 10 minutes left, but let's move on to combat sports. You know, the rumor of Conor McGregor fighting Manny Pacquiao. You think that fight's going to happen? Is it really penciled in? How do you see that going?
I don't see it happening anytime soon. No, I don't. I mean, could I make money? Yes. I think I make more money if they were able to have some semblance of a crowd. So maybe next year. Honestly, man, I'm kind of just tired of Conor McGregor. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm really annoyed about the way media's covered him or not covered him because, yes, he's interesting, one of the most interesting men in the world, and all this other stuff. But people forget the guy. I don't want to be a buzzkill or anything because I know it's innocent until proven guilty. The guy has 3 sexual assault investigations that are currently active: 2 for alleged sexual assault, 1 for alleged attempted sexual assault, which it was what he was most recently arrested for. So maybe those cases magically disappeared. At least the 2 other ones in Ireland, but last time I checked, they were still active. And I know he said time and blah blah blah. And like I know laws work differently there in Ireland and Europe in general, so it's hard to extract like all the details and everything. But the fact that I constantly see his commercials, the fact that I see all these media outlets just posting about him, like he's not being investigated for these heinous things. I'm not saying he did them. I'm just saying like exercise some caution here. And then just from a pure sports standpoint, he's retired. He's unretired. He's retired. He's unretired. He's retired and unretired more than like Terry Funk. It's ridiculous. Like over and over again, right? Or like Ric Flair. I'm retired and then he comes back. Yeah. It's getting ridiculous here. Exactly. And look, we know what the UFC is about. They're about money. They're not the judge, jury, and executioner. And I understand ESPN's not either. And at the end of the day, they're in the business of making money. And if this guy is not technically charged with anything or any of this other crap, then understandably so, you want to book him. I mean, you'll get Floyd Mayweather like he was, Floyd went to jail and he was fine. That did nothing bad for his career. It was like a vacation for him. So, I think, I don't know. I'm just sick. I'm just sick of Conor McGregor. I really am. Like, if he fights, cool. When he's actually signed on a dotted line, let me know. In the meantime, like, they're just doing it for clicks and doing it for likes. Right. You know what I mean? Like he's the ultimate casual fans like star. Like, oh man, what's Conor McGregor doing? Like, I don't care. Right. If he signs on a dotted line and it's official, and it's an official release by the UFC, press release by the UFC, then sweet. I'm down. Okay, let's get excited. But until then, I mean, we got Khabib coming up against Justin Gaethje. That'll be a great fight. Absolutely. I know as far as trash talk wise, it's not going to mean much, but in terms of just a pure MMA fight, I mean, Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman sometime next year is going to be a hell of a fight. I think Usman's going to be the biggest challenge. I think Burns is going to be the biggest challenge Usman's had. Other than maybe Colby. You know what I mean? Like, Burns is just a dangerous dude who's really had a career resurgence these last few years. So that's what I'm more interested in, to be honest with you guys. I really don't care for that. I care about when Canelo's going to fight again. I care if DAZN's going to go out of business or not, because they signed him to that contract that they completely front loaded. Nobody put a gun to DAZN's head and was like, hey, you got to give Canelo Alvarez a bigger contract than, I don't know. I think he got a bigger contract or equivalent at the time to Bryce Harper. Right. Which is insane. Like, it's insane, right? And I think it was for I'm pretty sure that deal was for like 5 years for like however much money, as opposed to like 13 or whatever Bryce Harper's on it with the Phillies. So it's just utterly insane. So that's what I'm more concerned about. Look, what I love for Conor McGregor to be exonerated and all this other crap, and what I love to see him fight just from a pure fighting standpoint, yes, because the sport is bigger. We as media guys get clicks. It's all cool. But for me, like, I don't know, man. We've been around long enough. I see through the game of like, I get it. You guys need to see clicks and attention and everything else. But again, until it's signed on a dotted line, it's not news. It's just BS. It's just speculation.
Well, when I heard it, just to follow up where you were, I was just like, wow. And the reason why I was like, wow, is because, you're dealing with a guy. I was a competitor, amateur competitor, national champion. So I kind of see things a little bit differently. Striking, it looks a little bit slower to me in slow motion because I know how body moves and things like that. And you can say what you want to say, but Manny Pacquiao has lost a step. Okay, not to say that he is completely done, but he's not as sharp as he used to be as a younger fighter. Now, it could have been that knockout that Marquez gave him. It could be a number of different things. It could just be age catching up with him. And, when you are contemplating fighting a younger fighter who's dangerous, I mean, Conor McGregor is very dangerous if that fight would happen. Manny has a tendency to stand in front of people. And I said it on my this show maybe last week. If he stands in front of him and give him a target, it's going to be a long night for Manny Pacquiao. But if the Manny Pacquiao that fought De La Hoya, if you remember that fact, De La Hoya was punching at ghosts. By the time De La Hoya got able to react, Manny Pacquiao wasn't there. If he can channel that one fight and bring it back, I think it's going to be a long night for McGregor. And if he touches that chin enough, because he can, I think we might see McGregor get a little chicken leg. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
See, I'm a Pacquiao fan, so I mean, we fought Mayweather. I got to tell everybody, he was one step away from knocking Mayweather out. It's just the fact of the matter is, Mayweather is a technical fighter. He's a defensive fighter.
Right.
When you're fighting a defensive fighter and you're a brawler, it's a lot harder. You see, Conor McGregor is a whole different type. He's a brawler. If he was a fighter, he gonna stand toe to toe because of MMA skill. He don't not go back down. He's not gonna back away. He'll go one around. He gonna stand toe to toe with Pacquiao. Now, one thing, he may be a little old, he may be a little step, but one thing I tell you, his right hand, if it connects, will tap you. It tap Mayweather. It tap Bono. It tap a lot of fighters. That right hand is dangerous. His only problem is he dropped his left shoulder and leave an open spot for somebody to counter. That's his only problem. If Pacquiao does not drop that left shoulder and give people a target, like you said before, move around like that, and move around the agile a little bit, I believe Conor McGregor may not make it through the whole round. He may not toe to toe. No, I don't think so.
I think if you get I think a professional, an all-time great boxer who's past his prime but still not insanely far removed from his prime, it's not like he's Pacquiao's Mike Tyson's age. You know what I mean? He's still like, what is he, like early 40s? Like he could still, I think he gets early 30s, early 40s. I think he could still
early 40s.
Yeah. I think he could still be McGregor and everything. I don't know if he could. I mean, I think McGregor could make it a little interesting. You know what I mean? But again, we don't know. I mean, McGregor's a wild card, right? Like what kind of shape's he in? I'm sure he's gonna be. You know what I mean? I'm sure if he's getting paid a lot of money, like he'll come in shape and everything else. But you don't know. A lot has happened. You know what I mean? Like over the years since that first Mayweather fight. So I don't know. It would be interesting for sure. It'd be the most interesting Manny Pacquiao fight.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But I don't know. I guess on paper it's certainly more winnable than Floyd Mayweather for McGregor. But will they do that again? I don't know. It would take a lot to get involved. It looks like they're going to try to do Poirier versus McGregor too, which I mean, I'd be happy for Poirier if he got that fight because it's a big money fight, but I'm not that interested in it.
Yeah.
Nothing against Poirier. I'd rather see like a third. I think like if you want to do like a fun Conor McGregor fight, like a third Nate Diaz fight would be fun. Or hell, if you want to give him like a win, that's like I'm not giving him a win, but if you want to give him a fight that's winnable but something different, I mean. It's ridiculous on paper, but Nick Diaz versus Conor McGregor, I think would be insane. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of. I think just for the. Now some people may be like, well, if you didn't give him the Diego Sanchez fight, we're giving him Nick Diaz. But I mean, no offense to Diego Sanchez, like Nick Diaz is a bigger star, and I just think it's just the curiosity factor. I think it'd be interesting too because Nick Diaz has been away from the cage for so long. Oh yeah, on paper he should kill him, but. Just the build. I feel like the build-up would be epic for that fight.
Oh, definitely.
Well, think about it this way: you're going to have the big brother that's going to come and avenge the little one. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes being away from the cage, your body can heal and your mind can heal. You know, if they were to do a fight like that and Nick came in right, it would be a long night for Conor McGregor because don't forget Nick Diaz can take punishment too.
Exactly. He got to go. Okay. He got to go.
And if you can take that punishment with those gloves, but also deliver back, it's going to be a short night. And the reason why I say short night is because I said it with Rousey, if you guys remember. Mm-hmm. She's very dominant, but her striking skills lack. And what the UFC have always done is their superstars with deficiencies, they give them time to bring their deficiencies back up to step. Like Ronda had all this time to get her striking together, but she was winning fights with arm bars, right? So she never worked on her striking until she met a striker. You see what I mean? Exactly. And because she wasn't used to getting touched like that, her body responded differently. Her body responded when she started getting touched up, right? It's the same thing with Conor McGregor. We've never really seen Conor McGregor in a full-blown fight. Taking shots, giving shots, puffy eyes, cut. We never seen that. We've seen him very dominant. So now the question I always have is, what's going to happen when you keep touching him? What's going to happen when you keep hitting him with something a little stiff, something a little bit? I mean, we saw it in the boxing match, because that's what
I think the closest thing was the second Nate Diaz fight though. Like that was like a not really like back and forth fight and very very close fight like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you really think about it, other than the first Nate Diaz or the second Nate Diaz fight, as far as like going 5 rounds, we've never really seen him like in like a war, so to speak, which is a testament to his skill, obviously.
Right, absolutely.
Exactly. It's a testament.
Yeah.
See, he better tested. I mean, you went to boxing, you went to MMA. So I mean, in boxing you got tested. Mayweather tested him, and we see what happened when we get pressured.
True.
He folds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we think about the last fight he lost before he lost the title. Same thing what happened. He had a tendency to underestimate his opponents. If you notice, he goes in hypostatic, yeah, all energetic, but he get tapped, the energy goes down. Get tapped, energy goes down. Every time the guy pay attention. If you're a true fighter, you pay attention to the person's weaknesses. If you tap when you go down, oh, okay. So if I go down low, and we notice, he took him out of the top game. McGregor the striker. Mm-hmm. On the ground, McGregor is not useless. He's useless on the ground.
That's right.
So how he beat him? On the ground. So I mean, McGregor, same way with Rousey, they know it's striking. It's the opposite. They're the opposite. Total opposite.
Yeah. Fred, real quick, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Do you think that fight is going to happen?
I think it will, but I don't. Okay, I think it will. I don't know if it's going to happen on time, and I don't know if it's going to happen on the same What's the platform? It's like Trello, something like. There's like it's a weird name. It's like some weird streaming platform. I think it's going to be on regular pay-per-view as well, or it should be anyway. But it's on some new startup app, right, which I haven't used yet because there's too many damn apps nowadays. For me, I don't know. I think it'll happen. I just don't know what the financial situation is of whatever app company is broadcasting it. You know what I mean? I feel like the Zone missed out on broadcasting it, but then again, the Zone's also bleeding money right now. So I don't know. Like I think if I'm gonna make a prediction, the fight happens, doesn't happen on time, and another platform will scoop up the rights to the fight. And I think it's gonna be like, and I could see like, I don't know who. Damn, I could see like YouTube or who's I mean, you know what? Hell, even I mean, I don't know. It's tough because I hear ESPN's gonna make a lot more cuts, which is very unfortunate. But I could see Disney saying, you know what, it's worth it to get this on ESPN Plus. Yeah, you know what I mean, it's because Mike Tyson has a very good relationship with the UFC and Dana White. I mean, I don't know how that would work if that would interfere with their top ranked boxing commitments, but at the same time, I mean, Dana and Bob Arum are trashing each other all the time anyway, and they're on the same platform. So I don't, and I could see them being like, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll happen. I can't tell you what platform, but I have a feeling that for whatever reason, the startup company may lose its ass and decide not to broadcast it. Or what'll happen is they'll broadcast it and they'll lose their ass after the fact.
Right.
I don't know. I might throw HBO in there.
I would love to see HBO back in the game. I would love to see that.
They need a hype to get back into the fight game.
Or you know what? Showtime. I mean, Showtime needs something right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True. Exactly. Quick question, Fred. So how do you see that fight going?
I got Mike Tyson, and I think I even heard Roy Jones in an interview kind of say, I don't know if I heard him exactly say that he regrets like taking it, but I think he, you could tell that there was one interview I read or heard, I forgot what it was, but it was like, he seemed like in the back of it, you could tell maybe in the back of his mind, like, is this really a good idea? I think Mike Tyson wins out.
Okay.
Mike Tyson on that one too. I'm with you on that. We're going to agree this time. Mike Tyson, yes.
But I don't want to see either guy get hurt, so I'm conflicted. Like, it's fun until you remember that these dudes are going to give each other brain damage, and you're like, yeah.
I don't know. Now, Tyson at 60 look better than me at 40, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson has a lot of issues that he has to deal with. Tyson was the best fighter, if you guys remember, when he was off his meds, okay, because he was more aggressive. The Mike Tyson that you see today and all the podcasts and talking, that's really Mike's character. The guy that would reach into his pocket and give a homeless guy $1,000. That's really his passive character. To get the animal out of him, they had to take him off his meds. And, for him to come back now, and I don't know if it's just he's getting a taste again for boxing, but that's scary because you're looking at two different platforms. You're looking at a guy now who's more mature than where he was when he was in his younger age and understands it more. Now, if he's get this desire back, he may have lost a couple steps, but this is still Mike Tyson. And some of the stuff that I've seen him training, I'm just like, this guy's an animal. Like, he
Mhm.
finally put it all
Yeah.
together. He doesn't have the distraction of home life. He doesn't have the distraction of business, which can pull you apart. If you are in that particular space. And so all of this together now is like this. And now he's bringing the boxing back, even though he may have lost one or two steps. It, he might just be up here. You know what I mean? And if he
Hey,
touches this guy's chin in
yeah,
his right mind, I don't think Roy can take that punch. I mean, we've seen
no,
Roy get knocked out um, from simple shots that I thought that he should have avoided. If I'm just being honest, like,
yeah,
okay, that just grazed him a little bit. That wasn't flesh. Why is he sleep? You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if Mike
hey,
Mike can get to his levels now with not being on his medication and being that aggressive fighter that he is, I think that's a tough fight for anybody.
hey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this: Imagine Hulk and David Banner in Avengers finally come as one.
Yeah.
He got the strength, the intelligence, the skill, text. Put all that together, and you at his age, and he still can perform. That's a very dangerous combination. That's like George Foreman coming back and knocking out some young cats like they was little kids.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. If it's done, George Foreman done it. We seen George Foreman. Hey, he tapped Holyfield. He knocked Holyfield. He scared of a couple of old young cats. Lynn Lewis. Hey, what happened? Lynn Lewis disappeared. He fight George Foreman, disappeared. So I'm telling you, sometimes older fighter, like you say, mature, understand, and be able to ability to change their skill and hold that anger and build out and come out. That's dangerous. That's like Hulk being happy. Ugh.
Fred, last words, brother. Anything
Sure.
you
Well,
want to add?
yeah, just thank you guys again for the time. If you want to follow me, you can follow me online at TSC News on Instagram. You can visit my personal website, fredrichani.com, youtube.com/The Sports Courier. You can either search The Sports Courier or TSC News on YouTube. Also, TSC News podcast on where the podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. We're pretty much everywhere. George, Frazier, thank you so much for your time. And George, thank you again for everything you did for me back in the day and now.
Oh,
And
man, my pleasure.
really great to reconnect with you, man. Really can't thank you enough.
Absolutely. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
on
Great,
the show,
great,
Fred.
great,
Anytime.
great talking to you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Sir.
Gotta
Take
come
care.
back. Gotta come back.
Oh, yeah. You got to come back on my show
Absolutely.
next time. There you go.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Be good.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
All
bye.
right, buddy. Oh man, that was nice.
Yeah.
Sports.
Sports occur. It's nice to see people move. And I saw that potential in him when he was very young. And like he said, he was one of the most dedicated writers. So for Scrap Fight magazine that there was. I mean, there were times when we had writers that fell out. Oh no, I can get the story, I can get the story, I can get the story. And then Fred would come back with two stories for the magazine to complete the publication for that month. And I always knew that he was going to do what he's actually doing right now. So it was really, really, really nice, like I said, to reconnect with him, see what he's doing with the career, his vision, and accomplishing your goals.
Exactly. As I looked at the feed, man, it's amazing. Some of the interviews he has. I mean, he worked hard. I can tell, and he's true. It's hard sometimes getting guests, and sometimes if it's tedious, you have to be on it, and you can't get discouraged. I mean, you definitely can't get discouraged about it. Because if you do it, it won't work. It just won't work.
Just won't work. All right, Fraze. I want to move a little bit the show to from sports to actual news because we do have some real news. I know everybody's talking about it, but you know, today we found out that there was a group that was trying to kidnap the sitting governor of this country. The FBI came in, made an arrest. I mean, this was a really good plan
Yeah,
that they had put together. I mean, they even planned on blowing some other stuff up to distract the police while they went and snatched the governor from her vacation home. And I know that everybody else is talking about this at nauseum, but here's the part that I want to bring to the show and to the viewers. This is the first time in a long time that we've seen such strategy being thought out and being planned and almost being implemented. I mean, these guys basically were arrested after they exchanged money to buy their tack gear and, explosives, from what I'm understanding. So this is not really anything to play around with. I want to encourage all the viewers and the listeners to be just a little bit more vigilant in things that you are seeing, things that you are hearing, your surroundings. Pay a little bit more attention to how things are moving. We're in a very tricky time with 2 or 3 weeks into this election. Um, you have the President of the United States, one of the most powerful men in the free world, telling, his supporters and people that support him to, what was it, stand up and stand by. And, as people of color, we know what those codes mean. We've heard them our whole life, how they being said, how they're being used. And, at 46 years old, I've never seen it like this before. I've never seen it so open. You know,
Exactly.
when I was coming up, it was more covert. I mean, I'm not saying that as a child or in my life, people have not called me the N word. They have.
Yeah.
8 years old, friends that I used to be friends with in school, elementary school, their parents called me that, you know, growing up. So it's not anything that I'm afraid of or unused to, but to see it so overtly out in the open is a little bit scary as a parent because now we have to watch our kids, and make sure that our kids are not caught up in certain situations or put in situations um, where they can be in harm's way. Every parent wants to protect their child, but
Exactly.
we've just basically gotten to a point now where um, even every traffic stop, believe it or not, for a person of color, a person that looks like me, is a potential life and death situation. And like I said, at 46 years old, I never would have thought that. And I have family members who are in law enforcement. I have friends who are in law enforcement. Okay. But I never thought that we would get to a place like this. I'm sorry for the long rant, but it's just
Huh? No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand
it,
exactly.
it's just really shocking to hear the level of planning that had gone into this entire attempt. You know, and the next question is: past the elections, where do you start the conversations to get to this, the root of this particular problem, the root to um, these feelings that we're feeling, the root to where you have the president of the United States that feels like it's okay to say this. And then when he's challenged on it, he always resorts back to either one, I didn't say that, or two, I don't know those individuals. He's always disavowed his personal lawyer, his this person, that person. As long as it was working for him, it was great. But then all
Exactly.
of a sudden, no, I don't know it. I don't say that. And that's what makes it scary because they've stood up, they've taken notice, and they've started.
Exactly. I mean, it goes back far back to the 50s and 60s. I mean, I said this stuff has been happening for a long time. I mean, that's just pop up. The only difference is now we have more social media, more phones access where we can film stuff happening. But
Hmm.
we know Texas is a known state for doing that. I
Right,
mean, you got Montana, stuff things like that where you don't hear news because it's so small. You don't even hear it.
right,
Small towns. They've been doing it for years. Like I heard a story back with a guy, Caucasian, who started a whole town with no blacks were allowed in it.
right,
You know, and it's funny how America rules states so differently when it comes to minority versus Caucasian. Because if I can't go and start a town by myself. Oh my God, you're racist. Oh my God, but they go and start a town by themselves. They're doing civil help. They're doing a public service. They're helping the community. But how is that possible? My thing is, if we put the home of the free, they say the home of the free of the brave, then why is the rules are different and segregated certain people? In a statute, man, the status is so important. If I'm rich, I can do what I want. If I'm a little bit poor, oh, you can't do nothing. Oh my God, stop. What are you doing? Do this, do that. Can't do this. It more, I tell people, we never left slavery. The only difference is now we get paid for it. We get paid little pennies on a dollar. Tell you what, 20, 30 years for a job. Okay? And all the years, You work good for a person. You bust your behind for a person. You give all 120% of your hour, time, faith, family, all that time you put in a job.
Right.
Okay? And then all of a sudden they let you go.
Right.
And this administration have given so many companies opportunity to allow them to do what they've been trying to do for years and let people go without any accountability, without any regrets or doing any penalty behind it. They can fire somebody now and no penalty. Oh, COVID-19. Oh, yeah, we suffering economically. We can't afford you anymore. I mean, people making $100,000 a year who will count on that pension don't get that pension now. After 30, 40 years you gave this company, they let you go, no pension. You have nothing. I mean, what you do with 40 years of work, now what you thought you were getting before, you're not getting anymore. And this administration looked over that countless times. They put legislation where they can actually use that. And by not saying our president is not influencing this, but he is. Like you say, stand up. Oh, yeah, what do that mean? Oh, stand up for what? What are you really standing for? Right. I mean, what are you really basing your stand or your policies on when you say stand up? And then my thing is, too, everybody reflect, the Obama administration did this, the Obama administration. We got to look at one thing. Elections is very important, don't get me wrong. But my focus right now is the House and the Senate. Because regardless how we look at it, whoever we put in that chair got to go through the House and the Senate. So, I mean, my thing is, I love the president's election, but my focus, the truth of this, is the Senate and the seats in the Senate and the House. Because those make decisions. They don't want to get everything approved. Regardless of who the president is, come on now. They got to make the rule. I mean, I can put all the parts I want in front of you. But if they say no, oh, God, I got to go do it all again. We've seen that with the Obama administration, how tedious they can be to you. They don't like you.
That's true. One of the things that the GOP never shied away from and never denied was the fact that the day that they were inaugurating President Obama, key members of the GOP and private operators were having a meeting to see how they can make him a one-term president. So that wasn't America first. That was putting the GOP first to fit their objectives. But for me, when I look at this whole thing, and I still have to go back to this man about kidnapping this governor, it was just like, I have to tell you, it messed me up. You can see, Frazier, I feel some kind of way about it because I'm just like, in the United States, something is wrong if we've actually gotten to that.
Exactly.
Like, and they were even talking about assaulting law enforcement officials.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where have we come to where that is okay? Where, like,
not America.
It hit me wrong. It hit me wrong, Frazier. It hit me wrong. I'm still digesting it as I'm talking to you, but it hit me wrong.
Because, like you said, I mean, this is America. Stuff that you see overseas, you see other places, not here. But if you notice, moment back in the Obama administration, they were planning to also bomb the White House, bomb all that stuff too. But you remember, I tell people all the time, social media, the outlets, all this stuff here gave channels to, guess what? Terrorists like cable. Terrorists like entertainment.
Right.
So if I can tap into your feed or your cable, I can hear everything you go in your house. It was done. They've been done millions and tens of times. That's how we know what somebody planning before they actually plan it. And like you said, the fact of the matter is that it took the time to make almost a movie extraction. I call it a movie extraction because that's what we see in the movies only. You don't really see in real life. The fact that actually from movie to real life is scary. Because, I mean, now we got different type of terrorists out there. We got different type of people who not only talking to the president now they're talking to the law administration. Now they figured out that if we take some of the supervisors away or some of the other people away, we can kill the economy. Then now they're thinking like this. We can't beat them up front, so we're gonna start within. We're not taking I believe, matter of fact, Napoleon said it. Napoleon's philosophy was also this: you can't beat an enemy that's too strong face up. You must outflank them.
Right.
By me taking a governor, oh, that's nobody. Take 2 governors, oh, that's still nobody. Take 3 governors. Before you know it, you have to find a way to. Oh wait, is the vice governor in work, or who is the vice president? Who the vice governor is? So I mean, people don't know who the people put in place. Why they doing it? Maybe it took her, but you know who's replacing her? The vice The
Yeah,
right. So
the
we
lieutenant governors, but still, I mean, we don't live in other countries, and I don't want to name other countries because I don't want to put that on them.
exactly,
But if I just being honest, you hear about governors and mayors being kidnapped and killed in other countries. You
exactly.
don't hear about plots of governors being taken or kidnapped in the United States. And I just feel like you know this is a step beyond everybody's comfort zone. This is
Exactly.
this is a step beyond the norm. Like
Exactly.
I don't want to say like we've hit the twilight zone would fictionalize this, and this is very much reality that we've seen in this particular country because of all these things, and it's really
Yeah,
scary. It's
it's
really,
scary.
really, really
They-
scary.
They're
You
walking the twilight zone. Exactly.
um, the like you were saying, just to piggyback on what you were saying, if it really wasn't for cell phones and video cameras and live streams, all the stuff that we had been talking about generations, would not be seen. You see what I
Exactly.
mean? Lynchings are not new.
Exactly.
Police profiling and police brutality is
Always
not
happen.
new. If you remember, that's how they caught Rodney King. They used a video camera, and they had one of those old analog cameras that you could zoom
Right into it.
40%. The guy couldn't believe it. He said he went to his bedroom and got his video camera. He said he thought that they were shooting a movie. And when
Exactly.
he zoomed in, that's when he saw the police beating him the way that they were beating Rodney King. You know,
Exactly.
and they still couldn't believe it. But I think that
I mean, it's, like you said before. I mean, I tell people, I grew up. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see much racism until I got close to my 18s.
right,
My friends were multicultural, so I never really got into that racial black and white thing till I got a little older and I moved different location where I had a manager actually literally say whites and blacks don't hang out. Whites and blacks don't hang out. What you mean? My best friend was right. What you talking about? I don't know what you're talking
right,
about. So and then from there he would say stuff little words like first my mom word nigga to me don't mean nothing. Call me boy don't mean nothing. Cause the fact of it is, I tell people I grew up as a boy. Now I'm a man. So
right.
guess what? Tell me I'm a boy. Sure, I tell you what I did when I was a kid. I played, had some fun. Sure. I'm a service officer, no problem. You know? But I think one thing that we should do is as a culture, look past that. Start using words that mean nothing to you. Somebody call you nigger? Oh yeah, sure. Thank you for helping me understand why I should hang around you.
Right.
Simple as that. I mean, if we start looking at like that way, they will stop using it. If we start letting it hurt us, let us feel like we need to hear that to make it feel no. If we stop that now and say, you know what? Say what you want to say. Word do not hurt me. As long as you don't touch me, we have a good issue here. They say, what they call me a nigger, black, whatever. But I understand, like, if you're older, it hurts you because it hurts your character. It feel like you feel like they
Well,
did.
no, not only that, because we know not to cut you off, but not only that, we know what that word was meant and how it was used to break us down. You know what I mean? And keep us in our place. You have to understand that the mentality is, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this, the mentality is even the poorest white person in this country is better than somebody like you or me. You see what I mean?
That with you.
And we're not criminals. We're family men. We're present fathers. We don't have baby mama drama. We're gainfully employed. We pay our taxes. We follow the rules. But we don't get to say all of that from just what they see, and what they see is a black man, confident, strong, determined, focused, and like D.L. Hughley said, the exact same things that uh, uh, people expect for us to do, be present fathers, be strong, confident, hard workers, are the exact same things that are seen as threats. Look at this brother who was trying to break up a fight in Texas. He not only got tasered, he got shot multiple times and killed.
It's
And he
crazy.
was physically fit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And those are the words that they put on us almost immediately. Big, strong, aggressive. Even
Exactly.
my son is in school. My son is as big as his father. tall, in the 90 percentile as far as his age group. So, he's hitting his growth spurt. And those are the words they try to use to him. Oh, he's aggressive. He's this, that. Well,
Exactly.
how come he can be aggressive, but his friends are not aggressive? You see what I
Exactly.
mean? And so those are the words that we use and have been used against us to put us in our place, but also sending signals out as to, oh, you got to be careful with him, or you got to be this or
Yeah.
that. And that's what makes this whole thing scary. Um, Real quick, I know we only have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah. But
Do you think that the NFL, I'm sorry, the NBA is doing more to address this issue? And the reason why I say that is, yeah, you can say Black Lives Matter on the back of your jersey, but besides saying that, what are you doing? What are you doing with your platform to say, hey, this has to change, or the dialogue needs to change? Yeah, you can say all lives matter or this, that
yeah.
on the court, and people can see it, but is that just a facade? Or are we actually putting our dollars in this conversation to address the conversation and start to change the narrative? Because this country really has to have a conversation about
Exactly.
this. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? It really does. And it's not
Exactly.
just a conversation, but it's also action, in my opinion. Like, for
Exactly.
instance, um, you have to be able to correct the history books so there's an accurate history as to what happened,
Exactly.
because that's another thing too. I believe a lot of people, because they didn't learn it in school, they don't believe that it's happening. The
Exactly.
first time that you actually learn anything about Black history is an elective that you take in college.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Exactly. I learned through a college tour. Doing a dominant black schools college tour, I learned what it felt like to be black. I learned about Dr. Carver. I learned about some of the people who did so much, but I actually seen the stuff. So it's not like I read it in a book or I seen it.
Right.
I actually seen it. I mean, I think for us, the coaches be better, and the NBA did, unlike the NFL did. They allow their player to speak out a little bit more, and then restrict them more. So I
Right.
mean, that aspect, I say, yeah, NBA did a little lean more helpful wise to the occasion. Because look, they put a Black Lives Matter on shirt. NBA didn't do nothing about it.
Right.
NFL took a knee, and they blew up the NFL. Like, oh my God, with the whole world in. Though we can't do this, can't do this. Contract got not signed. People got let go of the team for under the court, disobeying the code of ethics in contracts. I
And the
mean,
new policy that they put in place. Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, I would say the NBA did better reaction to it than NBA. No, NFL terrible at it. NBA did better than that aspect and allowing their players to speak out more and not penalize their players for doing so.
Right.
You know, so on the edge, I think NBA took more steps drastically towards conversating it. And remember, matter of fact, remember the Clipper, the manager of the Clippers before said a lot of racist statements, and NBA handled that right then and there. They didn't let it go on and on and on. So, I think the point is to say this. I think NBA understand more how social media, how people see them more, and how it can affect them more than NFL. NFL been around, and they don't go on that grandfather thing where we're gonna be around no matter what we do, whatever you're gonna let this happen, and they're gonna hurt us.
Right.
You know, and you notice their rating has fallen lately. Their rating not as good as it used to be
Right.
compared to the NBA. So, like you said, go touch back. You said how you react to this situation and scenarios, and how you react to the Black Lives Matter, and do it really matter? Besides that, almost they must see 70% of the population in the NBA is black, and maybe 70% of football is black. You know, and the fact of the matter is, look at this way: NFL just not allowing black coaches to coach in the NFL teams. How long have it been out for a while? I believe Arshell won a few black coaches.
Well, not allowed, but the
So,
thing is, it's predominantly been white coaches. We've had a lot of black assistant coaches, but not a lot of black head coaches,
in the background,
and
they
that's just indicative of the the policies of even basic hiring. I mean, that happens at any job. You know, if you've ever gone to a job where I have, and it's 10 candidates, and you see three of them are black, well, we know at least one of us will go into the room because we have to meet that quota, but not all three people are
exactly,
getting this job.
exactly,
Even though they have to fill 5 positions.
exactly.
So that's what we are. But Listen, brother, I'm saying all that to say, man, look, stay safe. Hope you and your family stay safe.
Stay
I
safe.
want to thank my man Fred for coming on and everybody
Yeah,
checking out
great
Sports
guess.
Courier. You know, check out the next issue of Real Talk. This is George,
This is Frazier.
and peace. Good night.
Hey, stay safe.
Stay safe.